Hey everyone, thanks for checking in on me again. It's been a while since I posted a video here. Life's been busy, but what do you do? A little bit different fish today. Fish that you typically don't see people actually bringing to the taxidermist or getting mounted. What I have is a sheephead. Now, a lot of people aren't even going to think about mounting a fish like this, but I have the ability to. I've never seen it done before, so I'm going to go ahead and try and see if I can mount one of these. We'll see how it turns out. Like I said, never did it before, but could be a cool fish to mount. So, first thing, as if you've seen all my videos before, is we trace the fish onto a piece of cardboard. This will be for our cardboard cutout for later. Now we get right into it. What we're going to do is just cut straight down the center of the fish. Alright, once we have cut down the center of the fish like that, we're just going to cut underneath the skin and go all the way up on both sides. Careful trying not to actually poke through the fish. Alright, once we've done that, you can kind of peel the skin back, and then you're just going to begin to take the meat out, whether it's with your knife, your little pliers here, or I have one of these fish scrapers here that's going to just scrapes out all the meat. So basically you're just going to take every little piece of meat out that you can, and I'll show that process in a minute. So I think one of my first steps is I'm just going to take this, I'm going to cut through that backbone, and a good way to do this is take the back out in chunks and just pry it back once you have it cut through. Might need a little extra cut. So basically you're going to take just chunks of the fish out like that. And then you're just going to work your way up, take out each chunk, and then you're going to scrape all that meat out of there. So you can see I'm making some good progress in there. There's still a lot of meat that I'm going to have to scrape out, but I'm getting the big chunks of it out pretty quickly here. Alright, this process always takes quite a while, and I'm not done yet, but you can see I've taken out all the meat pretty much from inside the fish. I'm just scraping some out yet, and now the toughest part is really getting in the head there. A lot of times you can't really see the best, so you're kind of just scraping the meat out blind, but you want to get every little piece of meat that you can, because if you don't, there's going to be rotting meat in there and you'll get flies, it'll smell, so you definitely don't want that. So take your time and really clean out your fish really good. A lot of times you actually have to go into the brain of the fish, so you'll have to find your knife and just slowly twist straight back through the head, and you can kind of get a little opening to actually pry all that stuff out of there, because you want to get everything in there too. So I'll create that opening. Let's just stick my little tool in there and scrape it all out. I'm going to keep working on this here. Like I said, just scraping every little bit of meat out I can, and then we'll move on to the next step. But so far it's coming along pretty good. A couple rips on the skin on this side, but this side's not going to be seen anyway, so that's not really a big deal. Alright, I've cleaned out the inside of my fish just about as good as I can. There's always going to be a little bit left in there. but you just want to get it as good as you can. Now the last thing you want to clean out is the eyes and the cheek meat in here. So all you're going to do is just take your knife and cut around and cut into that eye and take that out. And we will replace these eyes with the glass eyes that I actually order online. You're just going to take your knife and just kind of run it slowly in the socket there into that cheek meat so you can pull all that out. Once you get that meat out, you just switch and do the other side. Last step, or not last step, but next step is to add some denatured alcohol and water in a mixture, and that's what we're going to soak our fish in. So I'm just going to pour. I already have some water in there. It's a 50-50 mixture of the denatured alcohol and water. And all we're going to do is lay our fish in there. Fish should go in there for at least a day, but it can be, you know, you can leave them in there for a month or so. And we'll just put the cover on. And we'll let that fish sit for a little while. And then one of these days I'll get back to making that carving and then putting the fish inside the carving. Alright, so I cut out my tracing of the fish and then I drew it on this piece of carving foam. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my knife and just try to carve that shape as best as I can, and then that's what we'll use to put inside the fish. Alright, so it's starting to look pretty good. Once I get my fish out, I can align it a little bit better. I might have to make some adjustments. But I'm going to get my fish out and I'm going to see how good it fits. And if it fits good, we'll go ahead and sew it up. If not, we can use clay to actually fill in any gaps that I missed. This carving isn't going to be perfect, but it should take up the majority of the body, and anything else we can just fill right in. Just ready to put this in. I put a little clay on here so it would fit a little more snug in the head. I carved that out a little worse than I should have, but this will be fine. You can use this clay to form any areas that you need to kind of make up for. So I might need to adjust this yet, but we'll slide it in and see how it fits, if it fits good or not. The tail needs to be narrowed down a little bit, so I'm just going to carve a little off there. I'm just going to throw a pin into the tail, into the styrofoam, so that kind of holds it there. It's starting to fit in there pretty good. I'm going to add a little clay in there because there still is a gap up by the head. I just have to fill that in. I have my needle with some fishing line that I am just going to sew to the best I can. Just sew the skin close to each other on the back side. Alright, fish is sewn up. Now I realize it doesn't look very good on the back, but I really don't care. You don't need to see the back of the fish anyway. Now we can work on setting the fins the way we want to. Alright, so for this step, all we're doing is pinning the fins the way we want them to look. So I'm just going to pull back on the fin a little bit, and put that pin right in there so it sticks up like that. Alright, so there's our fins pinned back the way we want them. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a layer of clear siliconized acrylic caulk on there, and that'll make the fins a little bit rubbery and keep them from falling apart. And what I do is I usually put a layer of this just wrapping paper, tissue paper on the back side of the fins. That kind of helps it to stick there really good. It kind of helps to keep its shape. Alright, then I'm just going to take this caulk, I'm going to put some on both sides, and you might have to do a couple of different layers of it once it dries. All we're doing is just rubbing it in, so it dries on those fins, and like I said, gives those fins their shape. Alright, so we have that pretty well spread out on our fish. Now we'll just let that dry, and then that should stiffen the fins up pretty good. Alright, I have my caulk on the fins. That's going to take a little while to dry. I just put some clay in the eye socket where I took out the eye. And I actually have an eye that I order online. It's just a glass eye you can order from taxidermy shops. And all I'm going to do is just place that in there, like so. Alright, so that's all you're going to do for that eye. Eye's in there, fins are set, fish is tied together. Now what we just have to do is let this dry for a while. A fish this size, it might take a good week or so, but once this is dried, Then our last step is going to be to actually just paint the fish. So, there we have it. Alright, sheephead's done. I think it turned out pretty good. I mean, it is a sheephead. I know people are going to say, why'd you mount this? Never mounted one before, had to give it a try. It'll be a unique piece to put on my wall. But yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos to come.